audio. Where's my audio thingy? Window. Audio filters. Check, check. Oh, there it is. That seems to be going just fine. Twitch is telling me that I'm live now. Thanks, Twitch. Let's see. Can I go? If I go full cam, oh, then it shows my green screen, which is kind of cool, kind of, sort of. I'm green screening, everybody. Amazing. This is the CodePen editor. Why is that URL wrong? That's weird. 2.0. And we got a little feedback from a beta tester of the new editor that they clicked on the React template. Let's see, if I just go to codepen.io, there's like this create page. That's one of the ways to get to templates. And one of our official templates is a React template for now. And clearly React is a huge framework and tons of people use React, and they were a free member and they clicked to use this template and then tried to save it, and they couldn't save it because it has more than 3 files. So one thing to know about this CodePen new editors, there always was 3 files essentially. You know, you go to pen.new, takes you to the old editor. You got HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's not going to change. I want the new editor to be like, if you just wanted what we had before, I don't want the experience to be so different than that. And there's various ways to kind of get very, very close to this experience, but it's essentially 3 files. So in the new editor, if you want 4 files, more files, we're just making that a pro feature. You don't need it. You don't have to have it. But if you want more files per pen, then it's just a pro feature. And it doesn't stop you from playing with more than 3 files. It's just then you can't save. Like you have to play, you can play around, do what you need to do, but if you need to save this, it would stop you if you're not pro and have you upgrade. So it's a business, part of the business of running CodePen. So that's what we're going to do. But I'd like to have a React template that is under that limit so that if you're on that create page, that it's fairly obvious if you can start with a really simple React template that is going to work for any user, including free users, and then a more advanced React template that probably mimics more like real world React usage, you know, that's a little bit more, it's got some components, it's got some more stuff going on. Clearly you need more than 3 files to work with, that sort of thing. So I thought I'd start with this simple React template and see if we can get it under 3 files. And then have it be like more of a useful template that kind of makes sense to use, that somebody would want to click on or find it useful to actually click on and use. So this one now, I think I just will mess with it as is because it's not that mission critical at the moment, but it is using React. Yesterday we talked about on the stream how this essentially works, these bare module specifiers in the new world of CodePen. So to kind of recap on that, those turn into a package.json file. Oh, that's funny. I was messing around with Fluent UI, but I don't think we'll do that here. We'll probably keep it as just React in a very simple template. So CodePen is looking at anywhere that these appear in any of the files in your whole project that, they don't start with a URL or a slash or a dot. And it's like, ooh, you're probably trying to grab that off NPM, aren't you? So we make this package.json for you, and then that gets turned into an import map, which actually loads it in the browser. And you can see that if I look at the HTML that gets built, it's building an import map that resolves those things and makes them work, which really works a lot smoother even than I thought it was going to work. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So for teaching people how to use React on CodePen, just using it, as you'll see in documentation and things, is pretty similar. I notice I did miss one here though, so I'm going to pull that off. It's unnecessary. You can link to it right from a CDN like that, but our import maps will take care of that for you. This looks a little cleaner. and will work more, I don't know, a little more as you expect, perhaps. So I think I don't want this card component, or I think maybe I want it, but I think we're gonna have to put it into script.js in order to get down under that 3-file limit. So maybe I'll just take the function and I'll kill this whole directory and all its components, and we'll, instead of importing card, we'll just put card here. And save it, and that we should just be back to normal. Now that's certainly one way that you can work in React, is just to have one file and have all your components, and there's nothing stopping you from having one component per file. You could have 10 components per file. In fact, the way that expresses it sometimes in our own app is that sometimes we have something like a card wrapper or something is the one that actually gets exported that you import, and it does things like maybe fetch some data or do some logic and stuff. And then there's another component actually called card that deals more with the pure view layer of it all. So having 2 components per file, I guess, is pretty common even in our own code base here. So then it has these 2 cards. I feel like that's kind of useful because it's demonstrating to people, oh, look, you're seeing JSX really high up in this file. As a matter of fact, I think I would change this to, as far as a template, just to make it really clear, I would make the file extension JSX. That's not arbitrary. It would need to be either JS or JSX in order for our Babel block to pick up on it and know what to do with it. Notice that the Babel configuration has JSX and React specifically JSX plugins in it. We wouldn't have to have those. We could remove it, but then Babel's not going to process JSX and nothing's going to work particularly well. As well as preset env, which is probably the most common Babel plugin. Check. Check. I bet that came back. Cool. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. That's very useful. I wish I could sort that out forever. It seems to only happen in this particular software. For a while, I thought it was Zoom interfering or some other app interfering, but I really don't know what the heck it is. Okay, we're talking about counting files because it may be a little intuitive. I mean, we're going to try to explain it. There's going to be docs and that kind of thing, but the idea is that it's only 3 user authored files. So this would be one of them. Even if they get kind of scaffolded for you, you start a new pen, it's already got 3 files in it. And like you didn't necessarily write it. Well, it's one that you have access to. You can edit, you can delete. It's still a user authored file. So this would be one, this would be one. Even this screenshot is there. Now, the way this works is most pens won't have this. We just decided this is going to be the way that screenshots work in the new CodePen, is that if you want a custom screenshot, rather than going into settings, and there used to be a place where you could upload it, you drag and drop it, and that would be the thing. That was a little undiscoverable, or not as discoverable as I'd like. So it still has information about how to do it in here, but the idea is you just put a screenshot .png or WebP or AVIF or JPEG or any of the formats, and as long as you call it screenshot.that, that becomes the what shows up in the grid on CodePen. So if we go to that create page and find that template again, that's what's being shown there, instead of basically a screenshot that we take of this. It doesn't matter. I just thought it was kind of fun. Sometimes it's really useful Sometimes what's being rendered here is really heavy or slow or animated in a way that doesn't make for a very good screenshot. Now you can override it. I think for templates, it's pretty rad because we could do something really specific here. We could have a special style for CodePen templates or the like that would make it really clear. I kind of like this. It's very clear that it's, React powered. So do I want to use up one of the 3 files just for that though? Maybe. So that's a file, that's a file, that's a file. This is not one because it's just a config file. It's required to be there for the block. We're never going to count that file. The package.json file is not counted. Babel's not counted. Anything in the .codepen folder, or I think you could probably put crap in there if you wanted to, but for the most part, anything that gets scaffolded in there is not going to be counted. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's saying 5 because this package.json thing, I'll take a screenshot of that just to remind myself, is probably being counted right now and it shouldn't be. It's just because we rolled it out like yesterday or 2 days ago and we just need to go update that code that stops counting it. So we could just kill files too. I'm also a little bit tempted to kill the CSS file, as much as that pains me, but it might be like interesting to use some kind of CSS and JavaScript thing in here instead of regular CSS. I don't know if that is extra appealing to most React people or what, but that would reduce a file, so we could do it. Maybe let's do it and see what happens. Let's delete that, which means that in our index.html, we would just get rid of linking it to. We could call the title like React template. Fine, and it's just the div, and it's just script.js. So it's still powered by React. React is still absolutely working here. It's just there's no styles anymore. That would not be an acceptable. I think people would maybe come to a template like this and assume that it was broken, perhaps. So one of my ideas was to put in like a really small CSS and JS library. There's this one called Goober, which has an excellent name and is also like less than 1 kilobyte, which I always thought was cool. So maybe we can we try this quick, see if it works? Styled and setup should be called here just once. Why do you need that? Do you need that just for Preact? Probably. I think we'd probably just need styled in our world. So let's import just styled from Goober. Now remember, the compiler is going to see Goober and be like, oh, that's some new thing I need to deal with, and put it in the package.json, or it should. Can I force a build to run here? Why isn't it picking that up? Let's change this to card1 without an exclamation point. Is that build running? Yeah, it's running. There's Goober. All right, I just had to poke it extra hard, I guess. If that continues to be a problem, don't worry, I will bug it. So how do you make a component and you call it a styled, and that's probably a DOM element, and that's happening twice here, and then you can just use the element as JSX, I imagine. Funky. And then I wonder if you could pass in another JSX element here, probably, right? I don't know. Let's see. So our card, instead of a div, I don't know. I already forgot what it looks like. Let's do that. Let's just copy it so we don't forget, I guess. So we could have a card is a styled div, and then we'll write, and it's template literal. I kind of like that. So you can just write in regular CSS syntax. You don't have to use that like object syntax that you often have to do. So we still have a card element. It's still that. Oh, but is a style. Styled card is a styled card. Would that work? Because I already have a function here, and I'm trying to style that thing. Let's see if that works. So border 1 pix solid black. Is that going to work? That would be tremendous if it did. Because we want to go, oh, and then we need to use a styled card in here. Yeah, please. That'd be neat. No, it doesn't like that. K is not a function. All right, Goober. Um, oh, it's Matt. You have a cool username, Matt. Wilto Streams. I have absolutely no experience in this. My goal was to get this down to a really trim example of using React on CodePen. And I, just for fun, I deleted the CSS file just to see if we could just use some very small CSS and JavaScript thing called this. I found a demo of it earlier. Goober, are you going to help me? This is an old school pen that I did probably 5 years ago of using Goober. So you do need to call setup. Oh, you call setup on React.createElement? That is straight up weird. Okay, I'm willing to do it though. So we do need to pull in setup from the goobs. Are you satisfied now? Setup is not defined. You just didn't run. Let's clear it and force a build again. Run yourself. So there's no errors, but it's also not doing what I expected to do. How does this work? Again, part of the point of this, and this part I don't entirely hate, especially because it's a 1 kilobyte library, is then you get a little JavaScript in your CSS. I don't want that usually, but I feel like there's plenty of people who do, and I don't mind it being in a template. So in this case, we make a style, but we didn't go like 2 levels deep. Like I wonder if styled only takes DOM elements, or if it's willing to take other JSX elements. Is unclear to me. But we could, what if you quote card? Is it smart then? Do you know what I'm trying to do? Ooh, it did make some elements, but I have a feeling that it invented its own version of a card element. It made a lowercase card element, which certainly doesn't exist. So it seems like maybe this is because it's 1 freaking kilobyte, that it's not smart enough to like be called on other JSX elements. But I don't for sure know that. Ooh, global styles, that's useful too. We should come back to that. That's nice. Should forward prop. I don't even really remember what prop forwarding is at the moment. Sharing style. One can simply extend the desired component that needs to enrich or overwritten another set of enrich or overwritten. That's not a word. Matt, is that a word? With another set of CSS rules. So that's a span. Oh, you do. You just pass in this thing. I was doing it right. My intuition was... No, it wasn't correct because these are both gooberizers. They're not, JSX rendered things. Oh, and this is the combination thing. Primitive as container. I like as. As is what we need, I think. When I leave a tab, it immediately ejects my brain. So the primitive is the goober. This is the goober. Styled card. And you sell styled card as card. As card. Is that the syntax? You just pass it as a string? No, you have to do the as. You have to do the curlies because JavaScript. Is that going to do it? It kind of did it. It made a card, but then it just didn't apply the freaking border to it. So we're back at being a div. That's good. Here's my cards. And they're regular divs now. Oh, snap. Is that because I use Chrome Canary? Is that the punishment for using Chrome Canary? Is arbitrary failures? It's a style. Oh, but are we back to this being maybe a div? Well, you know what to do now? Are the cards going to be double wrapped in divs then? No. You'd think like a really successful streamer like me would know what they're doing before they jumped into things. So we're using a styled card. It's happy to use that component, and it is a card. Maybe we need to actually read what we're doing. It's a primitive. Fine. And it's a div. That's what our styled card is. And then there's this thing called container, but container, yeah, it's just another goober. God, I hate everything. Why did I decide to do this? Don't you ever just regret everything? I don't know if Goober's capable of styling another JSX element, which seems like absolutely crazy to me. But I guess it just expects you to do things in a different way. Like internally, card could call a Goober. Right, I think we just continue using card here, but card has and you don't need an as. That's only for composing multiple goobs. In here, we'd use a styled card. I think that's the kind of what it wants you to do. And a styled card does have, this is gonna work. Yeah, okay, obviously that's what you need to do. You just can't, it just doesn't know how to apply styles to like an arbitrary JSX element. Yeah, fair enough. That's fun. All right, so now we can goobs our way through this through this crazy world. We could have a goobs grid, so we could have a function is maybe we'll prefix them all. Styled grid equals a styled. And it's just going to be a div2, why not? But I guess we could experiment. Why don't we call it a section? I'm nervous when I use something like section, though, because of like then we have to label it or have a title in it. Otherwise, we're goobers ourselves. That's a joke. We're just doing it wrong, is what I meant to say. Why don't you like that? Isn't that literally exactly what we're doing here? Oh, it needs to be a constant. Const styled grid is a styled thing. Sure, fine. Display grid template columns. Repeat 2 1FRs, I guess. And then instead of using this grid here, we're going to use a styled grid. God help me, I kind of like that. How it's just really simple in the syntax. Like, whoa, what is this thing? Oh, it's a styled grid. Losing myself to JSX. Aren't we all goobs? Okay, well, we're kind of down to the 3 files though, and that's the part I don't hate. So 1, 2, 3. So if any user of CodePen, even a free user, wanted to use this template, they could. They're seeing how to use React, and they're seeing even how to use third-party libraries. So I kind of like this. Now it's my job to make this not gross. So I think we'll just keep going. How big is it reasonable that script.jsx gets? Maybe we should give ourselves like an arbitrary 100-line limit. So pulling in this template isn't ultra overwhelming. That feels fair to me. Styled header is a styled header. Maybe we should use backticks for them too. I kind of like abusing backticks. How many backticks before you just can't stand it anymore, Padding 1 rem, border block end 1 pix solid black. Sure. And then instead of a header, we're using a styled header. I've already got the hang of this. I'm basically a goober professional at this point. So you can't see the border because it's, it has the classic 8-pixel body margin, which could probably be a whole documentary at some point. Let's say we wanted to get rid of that famous 8-pixel body margin. Does Goobs have our back? That's what I meant by this being kind of liking the idea of global styles. Let's steal their global styles. What is background light? What is that? Is light a named color? Maybe that's, Matt thought it was a lost in translation moment, but CSS doesn't really have, there's no alternate language for keywords. Is CSS named colors light? Is that real? Named color light. Oh, we're never going to find it this way. No. That would be news to me. All right, so It's just a mistake, right? Okay, but that's fine. I like a good tangent. So we can do that. Global styles. I almost don't want it at the top though. I want people to see JSX like as soon as possible in the document. How low can we go? Create global styles and then you just do that. That's cool. And I would be tempted to do it. That's like a fragment, right? And then we close the fragment and then put it in Mia. Because you don't really need to see it. Nobody cares, right? Ooh, create global styles is not defined. Look at this. Look at this being useful. Good job. Good job, us, with our cool inline console. You just need to import it. That's the world we live in. I did a Shop Talk show with Dave earlier, and he's kind of a fan of these like blocks of imports at the top of files, you know, like less magic at the top of them for auto imports. Oh, the requested module does not provide create global styles. Yeah, you do. Ooh, you have to import it from a different location. Yeah, fine. This is actually like a minorly interesting thing related to NPM and import maps and stuff is that when you have a slash, oops, why did I shouldn't delete the one that was there. I just need an additional one. And then it doesn't go here. When there's a slash in these bare module specifiers, it's not, it turns into just goober slash in the import map. What do you mean, Chris? I mean that. Like that's enough to make this work, I think. Oh, why did it open that? Oh, it's because the build just finished. Yeah, anyway, you don't have to put the word after the slash. It's just like the rest of the crap is implied kind of. Cool. But our goal was not use background light, the thing that doesn't exist, but to use background or to use margin 0. This will be the moment that all of our goals in life are achieved. Oh, it totally worked. Ugh, how satisfying. Okay. So the head, presumably, look at the ID underscore goober underscore. What a good citizen of the world. Oh, look, and they use obfuscated class names to do things. Oh, I sort of don't hate that either. That's nice. So whoever made goober is not a goober. We'll do that. We'll put this on the top because that's how I like to roll. And we could get our fonts back in order. Have you ever, I always like to go to, what is that site called? Modern Font Stacks. I like the system UI stack generally and probably would put that in a template. That has kind of a templatey feel to it, doesn't it? But these kind of work better than you think they're gonna. In other words, oh, even Clarendon has like decent enough browser support to be in one of these stacks. Boy, that's tempting, but I feel like we're gonna use this one in something as really basic-y, template-y as this. Yeah, beautiful. Fair enough. Okay, so now we have the grid, and we have all these opportunities to, oh, I bet my camera just died. Everything likes to die on me. Ooh, am I back? I'm back. Okay, jeepers creepers. All right, so the styled grid is here. The grid could have gap on it. I wonder if there's limitations to, whatever is processing this tagged template literals. Matt, are you still there? Do you cover tagged template literals in your course? I'm sure you do. They're one of the weirdest syntaxes in JavaScript ever, I think. I just blew somebody's mind even just at work. Because it's like, how does that work? It's a function call, but there's no parentheses. Like, what is even happening here? Very strange. But the grid itself could have padding on it. Push these cards away. It's not like I love this design. And it's not like we're shooting for the most beautiful design in the world, but I want this to feel like classy, at least a little bit, So I wonder what the big goobs' opinions are about nested styles. Does it even mess with that? Or is it just like you're styling the element that you selected and nothing else? That would be unfortunate. That would be a reason to, just yet another reason to pile on to the stupidity of CSS and JS. Here I am doing a stream on it, but like stuff like that would bother me. Like, what I'm thinking is I have a bad habit of jumping ahead in my talking before I've explained what I mean. I want to style this H2 inside the card, but I don't really want to make a styled H2. That seems like a step too far for me. I'd rather go here. Maybe I'll just write it instead of guess. Can I just do that? H2 margin 0. There's no way that's going to work. Right? Oh my God, it totally does work. I'm back to liking the Goober again. This is a real roller coaster for me. Yeah, don't hate that. So we could go margin. We'll go old school with we're going to write the 4 value syntax for margin. Incredible. Got to have a little line height. I'm basically a professional typographer, so come to me for advice on that. Can we have a cool card CSS though? What should we ask? Should we ask an AI for it, or should we go to the source? Should we go to what AI is trained off of anyway, which is the hundreds of millions of pens on CodePen? The problem is our search is somehow a little iffy on finding exactly what I need. Ooh, I kind of don't hate that card design. Just so it's a gray background with a little bit of box shadow. And as long as there's like enough variation of type and stuff in the card, it looks okay. What do you call that? Is that 1 pixel border radius? Is 1 pixel border radius cool? Or is it 2? Vote now, chat. We're going to find out. That's what we're going to do. Card content. Card. 2 pixels. Yeah. How's 1 looking though? You can hardly even tell. That'd be a fun bar game. Can you, random person, tell the difference between border radius 0 and border radius 1%? 1 pixel on a Retina screen? Do people still say Retina even? Let's do it. Border radius 2 pixels. The whole body. Do you ever lie awake thinking of, should I apply the background color on the HTML or the body? Technically the HTML is like a little bit higher up than the body, and the body has this bad habit of not being as tall as the HTML element if there's not enough content in there. But then you have to remember that the background gets propagated to the HTML element if the HTML element doesn't have a background of its own. What? That's not what you all think about when you go to sleep? How about a nice light gray? We'll use our design assets here on CodePen. This is what you pay for with CodePen, even though it's a free feature. Get you some nice hex codes. That's what we have for sale at CodePen. I'm already like, man, we should be using OKLCH, you know, get the perfect gray in that syntax, but no. So that means our header should probably be, should we go like reverse the header look? Background black, color white. This just immediately, I'm already broken in the sense that I feel like you just kind of have to think about color modes. It makes me want to go light, dark. On light mode, it's actually black, and it's white in dark mode, and then you just do the reverse for this. But then in order for that to matter, you have to put color scheme on something. Color scheme, is that right? Light, dark. And then if we were to switch it out, which we have this cool command bar in the new editor, you go dark. But that's not, that doesn't propagate to this, does it? I thought it did kind of. Dark. It stays the same. Light, because it only cares about like the system, not our our random implementation of light and dark mode on here, but we do use color scheme, but it's in an iframe, so maybe it doesn't propagate through. I'm going to use, you won't, oh, I guess you will be able to see it. I'm sharing my system settings now. Oh, it's not sharing it. Ooh, it's being real weird. I'm going to say show my system settings. Is that going to work? If I go in here, where is it in here? Displays? No, mode. Is it just in general or something? Color. I don't need the accessibility settings. I just want the appearance. There you go. Dark. Oh, look at it. Did change it. Now you can't see anything now. I'm going back to Chrome Canary. See, it's switched out to light, and now you can't see my settings, but if I switch it to light, oh, look at that. Beautiful. I'm going to put it on light. Whatever. I don't even have a preference, really. I can roll either way. But that just proves that this is working, and now we can be really responsible about it. And instead of, anytime I type black or white or a color these days, I'm like, oh, I should probably deal with theming. It's just another broken brain thing. So we want this to be black, and yeah, that's the correct order. That's fine. Site powered by React, feeling good there. We need to finish our beautiful cards. Right. Did I save? Did I close the tab with the really nice? I say really nice. The mediumly nice card design, styled card. Yeah, this was okay. Find.card. White background. Where's the nice shadow it had on it? Yeah, see you later, Matt. Box shadow. Not you. Command G goes next. Shadow depth 1. Sure. I'll take it. How was the border? There just wasn't one. Should we just kill the border? Yeah, those are a little more classy. Just a little bit. Should we put some images in there? Is that something that somebody that's using a template might want? I'd say yes. What is a very generic, maybe just like abstract, something abstract. Sure. Oh, these lines are classy. I'll get the full-size image for now. So it would be a prop, right? We'd say like title. Maybe we'd even put the image first. Image URL is that. Ooh, so we just want the URL, not all the rest of this crap. Is that valid, Jason? Gotta have a comma. It's telling us. CP compiler being very useful. How big do we want it though? Let me grab the next one as a small image. That's pretty too, but the first one was black and white. So we'll search for black and white abstract. What else you got? The other one was primarily black. Sure, we'll take this one. So I'll say, give me the URL, small version, and all small means in the parlance of Unsplash is a query parameter that makes it 400 pixels wide. Let's make it like 700 or something, split the middle, and then we'll put that on the end of this. And it already has a, it's interesting that you put quality 85 here and 80 here. I wonder where that even comes from. All right, I put the comma in the wrong place because I'm amazing. And now we have a URL that we can use in an IMG tag in the card. We can collapse that data, I suppose. It'd be nice if in the template actually that it also would be collapsed. I wonder if we can do that. I think we can actually somehow. So where's our actual card? And ooh, we're doing what I wanted to do, which is make sure that the JSX is like relatively high up the the chain. So props.image URL. Nice. JSX, doesn't JSX require that to be closed? It probably does, right? And then we have padding on the whole thing. And I don't want padding on the image. So the way I think I'm going to handle that is to put a div around it and call it like class name equals card content, I suppose. So we don't need a class name on this styled card at all, right? But I'm going to use it here and see if the goobs, can the goobs handle it? Inside the card, can it go card content? Is it going to respect that? And we'll put the padding here instead of here. It looks like a yes. But why didn't the image come across? Image URL in the props. Am I passing it? I'm probably not. That has to go in the little map loop. No, it doesn't. Where is it getting the data at all? Oh, it is not. So image URL equals card.image URL. And then we can destructure the image URL. Oh, we don't even need to because we're just doing props. Ooh, there they go. Baller. So the image, which I guess we don't really need a class. I mean, whatever. It's just the direct child would be max width, max inline size. Nah, we'll do width. Images, I feel like, are one of those things that aren't actually, you don't really need logical properties for, because images are always displayed the way they kind of normally are. Oh, I don't hate that. They're maybe a little tall, but so be it, I guess. That's not the worst template in the world. Remember the goal here, or my goal to this thing, is kind of like if someone were to click from the create page and be like, what? Oh, a basic React template. What's this? Click. They get something that's like, oh, I see, that's React. I mean, maybe it would be nice if this file was open and you're like, oh, look, that looks like React to me. I know what JSX looks like. What are these styled things? Oh, it's Goober. It's a little heavy on the Goober, maybe. Like, maybe this stuff would be better actually as just regular CSS. You didn't have to look at all this. Because the more, useful, I think I'll just put the Goober stuff lower. What is that? Would that be acceptable? Just cut it out and put it by the global styles. Is JavaScript going to hoist its way to success there? Yeah, it will. Okay, so that looks good. And then we have this data here. That's not that's just like a criticism, I guess. It's like simulating what you might get from an API or something like that, which you certainly could hit an API in CodePen, but just having this data baked in makes sense to me. Would it be lower? No, I don't mind that you see some JSX, then you see some data, then you see an overall layout, then you'd be like, oh, that's where the styles are coming from. And then you're like, okay, React is rendering out that. In real world, you probably would break this into individual files just for, I don't know, just because that's what good architecture looks like probably. But for a template, I guess I don't mind this. It's not bad, and it's under 3 files. As soon as we fix this this package.json counting, which it should not be counting, problem. Kind of cool. All right, so then if I were to fork this or whatever, make a different React template that doesn't care about the 3 file limit. Let's say we go up to 15, 16 files. I'd probably make a components directory and break these things into components and then just do more. Maybe make a dashboard, like pull in some cheesy graphs and charts or something. Maybe use another third-party library or two just to demonstrate how possible that is. Would that be a good template, like a React dashboard? Probably. But anyway, this is relatively satisfying. In a way, it doesn't showcase the new editor in the way that I would want to, because what's exciting to me about the new editor is, in one of the many things, is the idea that there is multiple files and folders and all that stuff, and you could structure kind of a real world React project in that way that you would want. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, I guess we'll leave it at that. We don't need this. This is the one I just made, right? Can I delete it? I don't need you. But if we were to make a new pen real quick, I should, hopefully this is all still working. We are in beta here. If you were to add like view, for example, this is not a template. This is just the scaffolded files that come along for the ride when you use view. It makes like an app.view file and whatever. This template matters a lot because it's what people are going to see when they scaffold out view. Why didn't that build run? Don't need that. Oh, it did. It just took a second. We have some caching to put in place to speed that up. So this matters too. There's also no folders and stuff here. Again, I'd probably want to keep this under the free limit for as far as scaffolding is concerned. But we should probably make a view template also that leans into, you'd probably do a little research on what view people kind of expect or how they name folders and structurize stuff. I've always liked in view files that the style is within it. Like sometimes I like splitting out a file for CSS, but this is, this is like strongly culturally view. And I like how it scopes styles in view. Have you ever seen that? Where like, see this H1 is going to have, it looks like I'm just using H1, but I'm going to get kind of a obfuscated scoped class on the H1. And it uses a data attribute to do it, which I think is clever because it doesn't have to be a class like CSS modules forced you to have and stuff. And it retains the original class name on it too for stuff like user style sheets. I think that's classy how Vue handles it. So maybe this could use a little work too, and this is different than React. That React template we're using is entirely client side. There wasn't a lot bundling those files together. It's still running through the CodePen build process, but in this case, it's Vite doing the work. So Vite is producing like however Vite does it, like this assets folder, and it makes this, it smashes all the JavaScript together into one file, even if we were to use a bunch of components. This is like the entirety of Vue in here along with your, but this is like now it's not being pulled from a CDN. This is being pulled right from the file system of this built pen. So it's kind of nice to have a bundler available to you on CodePen 2, and Vite is there for you. Right on. So maybe tomorrow we'll work on a more advanced React template. Feel free to email me or let me know somehow if there's some like third-party libraries that'd be cool to see in there. See if they work with our new cool import map thing and all that. But thanks for hanging out with me. Definitely be back tomorrow. This is a thing I do now, apparently. Bye-bye. Is my green screen cool? Yes.